I'm the grandmother that's watching her grandson do things he shouldn't do. I my name is Cindy Gorton.
Where did you go to school for nursing?
Well, I started out at a place called CMVTI in Lewiston, Maine, but that was for my LPN degree. I was an LPN, licensed practical nurse, for 20 years. Then I was given the opportunity by the VA to have my RN degree schooling paid for by them. So I jumped on it because I was a single mother and every dime counted. I think the most interesting time was down in Key West. We were stationed down there. I worked at the hospital for a couple of years. Oh, my neck. So, on August 13th of 2023, I noticed this lump, which actually I still have. I remember we quarantined off an entire wing for when the Cuban refugees came. You know, in the news, all they talked about was how everybody was going to Miami, and they had the tent towns in Miami, in a specific area. They never talked about what happened to Key West. Key West is 90 miles from Cuba. We were the ones that met them. You know, they came on our shores. The doctor, I was in for a routine checkup, and she actually palpated and everything, and she said, well, let's get some lab work. Let's start there, because I was due for some lab work anyway. So she did all that, and that's when we found out that different levels were like way off. And if the people needed to be hospitalized, we got them. What I saw was horrific. My heart, I mean, these people could have been criminals, they could have been mass murderers, I have no idea, it didn't matter. All I saw was what had happened to their bodies and to their minds. They were political prisoners, I mean, literal bite chunks taken out of their limbs, beaten to a pulp, like tortured. We had them for an extended period of time, we had to get them to good enough health so then they could be transferred to Miami. They were all worried about family members, had somebody made it. We had a whole different team that worked on that aspect of it, but that was horrendous. That was terrible. So eosinophils are part of what they call the differential. You have your basic blood panel that tells you all your basic numbers, and then you have what they call a differential, where it delves deeper. Now, an eosinophil is a white blood cell. They are the ones that go in and kind of work a little overtime sometimes, depending on what it is. But what they are noted for, when they're high, with a lump on a neck, in the area that the lump is in, 100% spells out Hodgkin's lymphoma, which is a curable cancer. So I'm like, okay, all right. So then they had me go in because, trying to get an appointment for anything in our illustrious city, town, whatever you want to call this place, is ridiculous. I had more blood work on the 18th of September, physically what had happened to them and mentally was just terrible. Just terrible. And they were all, every single one of them were just as nice and as grateful as could be. Well, when I worked in Key West, I used to say just a nurse. After I left there, well, after I came back from Italy, then it was about being a director of nursing and being at the big table so I could make positive changes and get education for the people that actually took care of the residents. Because in most cases, back in the dark ages, you hired the people, you put them through. Okay, so I had a CAT scan on September 25th. Okay, so we're talking the middle of August. The next time I could get something done was September 25th. That's when I had the CAT scan. She referred me to an ENT. Oh, by the way, the CAT scan did not show problems in the lymph glands. The problem was with a submandibular gland. It's part of your salivary system. But the interesting thing was, the problem wasn't where the lump was, the problem was on the other side. Hello, Kitty. It just gets stranger. She referred me to a local ENT, who I won't name, that I would never refer anybody to, even my worst enemy. All she did, and actually my note even states, crappy doctor. Because they're out there. They're freaking everywhere. Some of them have just been in the business for too long that they're just going through the motions. And then there's others that take interest and want to do the right thing. Those are far and few between as time goes on. My goal was to make sure we had everybody in the right spot. I have clashed against administrators. Oh yeah, yeah. I've gone up against medical directors. In fact, in the last 10 years, I got rid of 3 because I held them accountable for what their job was. People don't like being held accountable, and I could never understand it because no matter what job I did, I was always held accountable. So I, in turn, held everybody else accountable for what their responsibilities were. And if you're doing it for a buck, get out. I don't care how much they pay you, because the bottom line is, it's about the patient. And if you can't do right by the patient, get out. I don't care if you're in the business office. I don't care if you're the administrator, the medical director. I don't care who you are. They wouldn't do what I asked them to do. Which, I mean, I'd not worked with anybody with Hodgkin's. I went on Facebook, I watched blogs, I did research on it, and anyway, I mean, I can remember when I worked at Westminster Canterbury in Virginia Beach. It was one of the first of its kind. It was a CCRC, continuing care, retirement community. They had a nursing home. They added on the assisted living while I was there, and they had independent towers. And I can remember driving up and looking at the buildings and just being so proud that I worked there. And then I've worked in some buildings that should have been condemned as far as I was concerned. But what was happening inside was so wonderful. You know, it doesn't matter what it looks like. It doesn't matter how old it is. It doesn't matter about any of aesthetics. It's about what's happening inside with the residents. October 9th was the ultrasound of the thyroid. because in the CAT scan, one of the things that it also showed was that I had a thyroid nodule and that it was in a precarious location. But the information, they wouldn't give me the report. Mind you, I signed my life away up at the hospital to get hard copy records. To this day, how many months later, I still don't have that.
Well, why do you think that they didn't give you hard copies?
Because I really think the people that took the paperwork, and whether they passed it on or it was their responsibility, they obviously didn't do their job. Was it worth me making a phone call to them? No. Was it worth me making so many phone calls and sending messages to my primary physician saying, just put it in the portal so I can read it myself? I mean, is the healthcare system full of incompetent individuals? Oh my God, yes. You know, it's very sad. We have so much better medical technology. We have better drugs. We have so many more abilities now to help people. But that's just it. It's the people that have not really evolved. I mean, I finally ended up going up to Dartmouth Hitchcock to Richard Smith, and I'm going to use his name because he's an ENT up there. He's been doing this for a very, very long time. And between all these tests and the CAT scans, and they did a biopsy on the nodule that was 1.5 centimeters that he used. The guy, not Richard Smith, but the local guy, used 9 syringes. And what it is, it's they stick a needle in, and they stick it in right here, and they had to put it all the way back up into here and go this way to get to the area of the nodule that they needed to get the biopsy from. And then they get it there, and then it's like jab, 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 to get cells, pull it out. Pathologist and the lab person is right there in the room with you, trying to decide right then and there if there are viable cells. 9 syringes later, they didn't have any viable cells. But the people that were watching it on the screen said, oh my God, it's shrinking, because it was like he completely emptied it out and there was just nothing there. Is it still there? Of course it is. It's just that, would I have it done again? No.
What was it like when you first officially met me? Like, what'd you think?
What did I think? Well, I knew that you had to be a good person. Murphy, wanting to be part of this, aren't you? So bad. I knew that you had to be a good person or she wouldn't associate with you, because Jessica does not believe in drugs. She'll occasionally have like a glass of wine, but she's just too funny because she can't, I mean, half a glass of wine and she's like tipped sideways. And she trusted you. And Jess isn't someone to easily trust, to be somebody that she could lean on, because, you know, as it is for everybody's life, there's some people that you can trust and there's other people you just know. So for her to trust you meant a lot. Did I know that it would last this long? Oh, God, no.
Well, that's a good thing, right?
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Definitely. I mean, I could drop dead today and I don't have to worry about either one of you because you've got each other.